impressed you're that technical.
I wish it was better than it is, but I'm trying. Hello, Facebook. Look who we got. Joel Brill.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Joel. Tell us something encouraging from where you live.
The weather's nice. I'm in the suburbs of Los Angeles. We have had a very cold and wet winter. So today it's like 98 or something.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the last few days have been a heat wave, but it beats being cold all the time. So
Yes.
yeah, it's all good. No, we're surviving the best we can.
Yes. So when you go outside your door once in a while, do you see people following the guidelines given out to us?
Yes, yeah. When the weather's nice, all of a sudden everybody in the neighborhood's walking, and you'll be walking down the sidewalk, and people will walk towards you, and next thing you know, one of you ends up walking on the street very willingly, to keep the distance.
Yes.
So we went for a walk with my kids and grandkids, and they were on the other side of the street, and so we were shouting to each other, but we kept the distance.
It's always, I went out on Vegas Boulevard this morning for a walk, and I walked up to Denny's, and they put food in a bag and handed it to me with gloves on. And that was cool, like I'm sure there's no germs anywhere in that process. So then I walked home, and it's a weird.
It's so empty right now. It's amazing.
Yeah. It's like, go ahead, what?
Your mayor is nuts.
Totally. What's she thinking?
She's not thinking.
She's all for the businesses, but, like, if people die, oh well.
Yeah. She just wants to get reelected.
Yes. I hate that politics has to enter it at all,
I agree.
It's like a worldwide tragedy.
Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
Politics seems to sneak its way into too many things.
Yes. You hail from New York.
Originally, I'm from a small town on the eastern tip of Long Island.
Elmhurst?
No, that's on the western end, East Hampton. It's the eastern tip. You can't go out any farther without a boat.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you, were there a lot of big celebrities that lived out there?
There are now. When I was growing up there, it was a lot more modest and humble. There were celebrities out there, and I've met a bunch, but now it's a much bigger deal. The place exploded in the early 80s and 90s, where a home that was $18,000 overnight became $80,000, and then became $200,000 and more. In a shack in the woods, and they're just overrun and overdeveloped. And it's unfortunate, but when you live in New York City and you come out to a place like this, it's so desirable. It's on the ocean. It was very wooded areas, farms. And most of those are gone. Most of the farms have become developments.
What did they grow on their farms?
We were real big on potato farms out there and duck farms. And the duck farms have become vineyards. And because of all the duck crap fertilizing the ground, evidently, and it's near the ocean, it's on the ocean. And so, it gets, it's now a lot of vineyards. And then there were potato farms, some dairy farms, and then beach, a lot of beach. Surrounded by water on three sides. So.
At what point does somebody from the outer edges of Long Island decide to go to LA and do comedy? Or did you start in Long Island?
No, I moved out here as a young man. I lived in Denver, Colorado for a couple of years, was a ski bum. And then I California. California, in part to go to college because it was a lot cheaper here. I did one semester and dropped out. Got stuck here, and actually I dropped out. Yeah, and then I, met a woman and married her. And one day, years ago, 35 years ago, somebody told me about a comedy class, and so I took it. And the last night of the comedy show, you ended up performing at a club. So I did that, and then I started performing quite a bit for 3 months. And the problem was, I was a young man. We had a 2-year-old. We were trying to have another one. I had a great job, and I showcased at the Comedy Store. They had me come back for the second round, and I did well. And they put me on the list. The guy actually said, "Mitzi really likes you." I didn't know who she was.
Wow.
Yeah, but the problem was, I was working late nights doing comedy. I was getting up early, dealing with my headquarters in New York, and then working all day, and then, being a family. And I had to choose one. And I talked to a bunch of comics who've been doing it a while that were road comics. And I was telling them, they go, "Yeah, I faced that problem." And I said, "So you're doing this, what about your family?" And they go, "Yeah, I haven't talked to my family in 5 or 10 years. And so I said, "Well, that's not the path I want to take." But I said, "I'll come back and do it again." And so I retired 6 years ago, and now I'm doing it pretty full time.
That's so cool. I looked at your website at joelbrill.com, and some of the reviews are amazing. One lady had to be taken, her catheter popped out, or a man's catheter.
He said it was laughing so hard.
That's
The
fun.
best anybody told me one night was New Year's Eve last year. And after the show, it was a big show. I did a show, there's 400 people in the theater. And
Wow.
came up afterwards, and she goes, "I've had the worst week of my life." And I wasn't coming. I thought, you know what? I thought I'll just go, and hopefully somebody makes me laugh. She goes, "You just made my week so worthwhile, and made me forget about all the sorrow I've gone through this week." And I got tears in my eyes. She was crying, and I got tears in my eyes. That was great.
Oh, what a great thing to be told.
Yeah. It was a great way to ring in the new year.
Yes. So, in your comedy career, who's helped you along the way that you want to give a shout out to? Like, has another comedian or booker or...
A guy named Jerry Corley who teaches comedy and claims that anybody can be funny, and proves it. People go, "Oh, you got to be born funny. You just have to be funny." Actually, you really don't.
No.
No, and you just have to understand the science of it, and he teaches that very well. And he's really Jerry Corley. He's the jokeclinic.com or the joke doctor. I don't remember, but he's really good.
Standupcomedyclinic.com.
That's it. Thank you. Yeah. So I would say, Jerry's been a mentor. I've taken several of his classes and stuff, and I had to do a show that was totally I had to do a conservative comedy. It was a conservative audience. I'm not political at all, and this was a politically conservative audience. I don't lean one way or the other. I hate politics. I don't do political jokes. As Bob Hope once said, I don't do political jokes because they always end up getting elected. So, but Jerry's been big. But so I wrote this whole bit, and I didn't know who to run it by, and so I just called him and we sat down together. He's great. He helped me tweak things, and a couple other guys. A guy named Joe Tolkien is a guy that I love to run things by. I don't get to do it very often anymore, but running a joke again to him, he can help you figure it out. He actually teaches one of Jerry's classes now.
Joe who?
Dungan, Dungan.
Guess who trained me to do comedy?
Yeah.
Jerry Corley.
Oh, yeah? Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
He taught me to 30 jokes a day.
Yep, exactly. He used to write 100 when he worked for the the Tonight Show. He used to write 100 to 150 jokes a day.
Wow.
Day. Yeah. So I started doing that. I got away from it. I've had a hard time writing during this quarantine. And a hard time sitting down and doing it. But I was doing it. I was every day trying to write 5 current event jokes and 20 new jokes. And of course, you write 20 jokes. One of them may be worth repeating. So
exactly.
And I don't like doing current jokes because the problem is, you joke and 2 weeks later, it's dead. So I like jokes that keep doing.
Yes. What's your favorite joke, even though it might not get the biggest laugh, but you refuse to throw it out?
Well, my favorite joke, I'm actually just starting to get over, stop doing it in a lot of audiences. The joke is, there's a build up to it, but then I go, yeah, I was performing. I perform for a lot of charities. I perform with their benefits and their fundraisers. And there's one charity in particular I'm really fond of, and I'd like you to know about it. That's the Tempura House. Tempura House is a shelter for lightly battered women. People are getting, especially in Los Angeles, people are getting very overly sensitive. And this joke now, up until a year ago, was a showstopper, and now it's like I get groans.
Yes.
Then I use one of Jerry's lines. I tell people, look, unpucker your sphincters. It's a funny joke. And I told it at an event for battered women, a fundraiser. I told it, and they liked it. So.
I did comedy at a battered women's shelter, and I made 3 women cry. And that makes you rethink your whole comedy career.
Yeah.
But, they had recent, issues that making them laugh actually made them cry, had the opposite effect.
Yeah, that happens. Sometimes I don't get too concerned about the audience. I mean, because I'm not that. I don't demean people or groups, and that's about as harsh as it gets. People get upset when I start a joke, and then when they hear the punchline or the tag, they realize, oh, that was not. Like, I'll talk about how much I hate same-sex marriage. There's a build-up to it, and how I think it's wrong. And then I say, my wife and I have had the same sex for 45 years. When you say you hate same-sex marriage, especially in LA, everybody puckers their ass. And they go, and then you come up with a joke, but sometimes
yes.
It's one of my favorite jokes.
I love that.
Yeah.
I have a joke about recycling, and I go, I'm not into recycling. That's why I only took my ex out to the curb once.
That's a great joke.
Thank you.
It's funny. I do most of my comedy in LA, or in Southern California, but thanks to the World Series of Comedy and some other circumstances, I end up performing around the country. And didn't realize that, you know, you have to be aware of your audience. I was in Kentucky. I did the same-sex marriage joke. I go, I hate same-sex marriage. And people stood up and started applauding and cheering. I'm like, uh-oh.
This has gone political.
Yeah. So it's weird.
So when, has anybody come up to you and told you that they have they said a joke offended them and they totally misunderstood your whole intent?
Yeah, the tempura house offended them.
Yes.
Someone said it was too aggressive and they were going to complain, and I go, yeah, okay. I mean, this is a comedy club. This is what happens, and if you didn't laugh, other than the fact that you were the only person that didn't, that you're allowed to. You don't have to like me. I don't expect everybody to like me, and I walked off.
Yes.
Yeah, people are overly sensitive. Especially, that's why I asked Eddie yesterday in your chat, because you and he were talking about the different audiences around the country, and so I asked, what do you think of LA audiences? Because a lot of people don't like performing. You know how comics don't want to perform at colleges and universities? I don't remember getting tired of performing in LA, especially if you're not at the 2 or 3 big major clubs in LA. If you're performing at a secondary level club, the people tend to be a little more sensitive.
Yes.
And I think LA audiences somebody once said, the LA audience is sitting back going, yeah, I have headshots, make me laugh,
Wow.
I'm an actor, who waits on the tables for a living, but I'm an actor, so let's see if you can, it's just my perspective.
Yes. I start off my comedy set, if it's a tight group of people, I start off and I say, everything you say on stage has to be so politically correct, right? You've heard about this, right? So good night. Good luck. Mazel tov and adios. I did that when I was in New York at Greenwich Village Comedy Club, and it got like a minute of laughter, and I like, okay, that's about my time.
That's a great joke.
Thank you.
A friend of mine, I talk about that's my time. A friend of mine who's a comedian, also I know her through Jerry Corley's classes and stuff. Dawn Grabowski, very funny. Dawn has spastic cerebral palsy, and she has since she was, I guess, 8 or whatever. When she comes up on stage, she's usually in a wheelchair, but she comes on with the walking braces, the sticks that go around your rib and your forearm and stuff. And it takes her like 2 minutes to get up on the stage and get seated properly. And she puts her walking sticks down, and she goes, "That's my time. Thank you very much."
What's the best? Sorry, you go ahead, Joel.
No, but that's a great joke you have there.
It is.
I love it.
Joel, in your years of comedy, like, what's the best or the worst heckle you ever got that you learned a lot from?
I was doing a show in Chicago, and there was a very drunk, very loud foursome at a table, and the comic before me kind of started giving them crap, and his whole set fell apart. And people were ignoring it. Oh, geez, I was thinking I have a couple of times where I've had problems. So they were really annoying. And when I got up, I just fought through it. I just thought it wasn't worth it. I learned that time. The other two, I was in a club and a fight broke out in the middle of my set. And I mean, and then next thing you know, it was like three guys on one side, three on the other, and they're all fighting. And I'm like, geez, do I keep going and stop? So I did was say, is there a bouncer here? You know, and I stopped. The weirdest one, I thought I was being heckled. There was a table, there were like 14 people at this long table. And there was, and at the head of the table, standing up with her back to me. And her arms held in the air, and my whole head, all of a sudden, halfway through the set, I looked at her and I go, what are you doing? The people at the table were deaf, and she was signing. So, and I so I was being heckled, I wasn't. And then, and they were laughing at my jokes, so she was doing a good job. And then, all of a sudden, they didn't laugh at one of my jokes, and I looked at them and I go, she told it wrong.
That's hysterical.
Yeah, but other than that, I every once in a while somebody will pipe up, and I just ignore them. I have a set to do. I'm there to entertain the audience, not that guy. Oh, one other time, I did a show at an Elks Lodge, and there was this drunk guy, and he kept heckling everybody, interrupting them, trying to come up with his own punchlines. And I looked at the guy and I go, "What's your name?" He said, "Mark." I said, "Mark, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. At the end of the show, we're all going to stick around, and you're going to come up and show. You make this look easy. I want you to come up and show everybody how, you know, a non-professional can do this." And he goes, "Cool, I'm going to do it." He staggered after the show. He staggers up to the stage, and he stands there. I thought he was going to wet his pants. He was so scared and so nervous. I go, go ahead. I sat down in his seat, and I said, "Go ahead, say something." So he starts to, and I go, "You suck." You know, that's, you know what? You call yourself a, and then I got up, and he was like just dumbfounded and flabbergasted. And I walked up, and I put my arms around his shoulders, and I go, yeah, not so easy, huh? He goes, "I have a whole new respect for you guys."
Wow, I love that.
Yeah, so that I put him in his place just by, you know, I just tell him, "Hey, you can come on after the show. We'll let you come on." So.
I love that. So tell me about the World Series of Comedy. I didn't know about that.
The World Series of Comedy is great. It's for not beginners. And as a matter of fact, I've been doing it for 5 years, and it has gotten harder and harder. The competition has gotten extremely stronger and better, probably because their name's getting out more and they're attracting better comics. They've always attracted, there are a lot of really good comics who have made it because of the, you know, getting, winning the series. The World Series is 12 venues around the country. And there's 40 comics qualify for each venue, except the main event, which used to be in Vegas, and now they're finding different places to do it because Vegas isn't that great a place for that venue. So, but they, you know, I performed in, I can't remember the names because I'm old and have a shitty memory, but I performed in big clubs in Chicago, Florida. Actually, my favorite club is McCurdy's in Sausalito, Florida. It's a great club. It's a well-run club. They have, they pack the audience every night, and they seat 300 people. So that's one of the big. And I love it because the audiences are usually in the 50s and 60s. So
I love that.
I performed in Colorado Springs, in San Diego, Sacramento, all thanks to, you know, qualifying for the different venues, and Vegas. I mean, I performed in Vegas, not just for the World Series, but you know, I got to perform at the LA Comedy Club in the Stratosphere like 4 times.
Wow.
Yeah, I did you do the first night, then you come back on the weekend. So I did a show all the time. I came back on the weekend at the Stratosphere, and so you get to perform at all these great places if you qualify, and you get to meet a lot of the guys that put this on. Joe Lowers is the guy that puts it on, and he has now he brought on Jason who helps him out and helped really expand the way this whole thing is going. It's just a lot of fun, and the main event is like a convention for comedians. It's 5 days depends on where we had last year in St. Louis. I had 8 gigs, so I had to miss that one. But they've done it in Indiana, or Missouri, and prior to that it was always Vegas. But it's great because you are at like this convention, and you're at seminars in the day. Jerry Corley teaches one of the seminars. There are bookers at the shows. There are industry people are the judges. It's a competition, but and they tell you if you're doing this to win the competition, don't. If you think you're going to win it, there's 1,000 people that try to get into the main event. They bring in 101 comics, and the odds of you doing well, you can do well. I've done very well at it and walked away going, oh yeah, I did great. And then it's the other people are just better. It's a better level of comics, and so it's well worth. If you have the time and money to travel and go to these shows, I have the time. I'm retired, so it's for me. And I love it. And like I said, the seminars, there are bookers and agents that give talks and tell you what typical club look for, and whether you should get an agent, how do you get one, and all that stuff is. And you're sitting around with just over 100 comics, because a lot of comics go that aren't performing at it, or they'll have open mics and they'll take a shot at that. It's a great convention for comedians. I love going. Unfortunately, it's been wiped out this year.
Yes. Speaking of which, this whole shutdown, has it affected you in your pocketbook to the point where you're allowing people to donate Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal?
No, you know what? I'm retired. I came up. I wouldn't retire if I couldn't afford to be retired. So
same here.
I'm just. You know what? I just love doing comedy, and while I get paid some, not a lot, because no comic gets paid a lot. I do it because I love making people laugh. I always say I will go anywhere, anytime to perform comedy, and I've gone in I was in a dive bar that what's that show called where they restore bars?
I know the guy in Vegas, Tapper, that does it.
Yeah, John Tapper.
Yeah.
I performed at a show that he said, you know what? I performed at he goes, we can't save you guys, and he walked out.
My gosh. Oh my gosh.
It was in a neighborhood. My wife used to come to a lot of my shows, and she still does. But we've been in some neighborhoods. She goes, maybe I'll just stay in the car.
When you come to Vegas, I want you to come down to Fremont Street with me. I'm a vendor down there in a little circle, and I'll tell me a few days ahead, and I'll get a spot. And I've got a microphone and a speaker, and we'll make people walking by laugh.
Are you doing jokes in Fremont? Oh, that's awesome. Awesome. You ever seen a guy performing down there? He's wearing what looks like a Tarzan outfit, and he's got a very large crotch that sticks out.
No.
His name, he goes by the name Rock. He's a Corley kid. I first time I saw Rock get on stage, I mean, he's a pervert, and I love him. He's a great guy. I knew Rock for 2 years, and used to see him, all the time. And then I was out to lunch with my family, and Rock's there, dressed as a normal, because he always dressed in this, loincloth. So I saw him, he was having a meeting with somebody, so I went over and I said hi. As I was saying hi to him, I realized, I know this guy, I talk to him all the time, I don't know his real name. I didn't know his real name. His name is Gary, I can't think of his last name. But you'll see him, he has a circle there, and he performs.
Oh, cool. Yeah, have you ever been in the military?
No.
Have you done comedy for military or veterans?
I did it at the VFW once.
That's cool. What was that experience like for you? It's really, really a tough crowd.
It was a tough crowd because, it's a problem. I'm sure everybody experiences it. Sometimes you're doing a show in a bar or a club, and people are just there to have drinks and talk to their friends. So that was the challenge at the VFW. I got their attention, and so it was okay. It was a tough crowd.
Yes. It's hard to get those gigs too because, they're so overworked. The people that are the decision makers are like, what do you want? Everybody wants something from me.
Yeah.
I have to tell you, Jerry taught me to write 30 jokes a day. And I was in Murrieta, California at Aces, and I found the Temecula military wives that wanted to come to a show. So I filled up an entire room at Aces. So Rocky, the owner, had to put me on stage way before I was ready to be on a show. And I got heckled by one of the Temecula military wives. But they all knew she was a heckler because they wouldn't let her sit with them. They made her sit way far away. So I called up Jerry, trying to pick up my ego afterwards. And he goes, what did she say? And I told him, and he said, what did you say? And I told him, and he goes, what were you thinking in that moment you got heckled? And I was thinking, well, Jerry, I was thinking that I expected white heckler, but I didn't expect white drunk bitch heckler. Or something like that. He says, that's what you should have said, because what I said was ridiculous. I had no idea how to handle a heckler. I acted like I was a stewardess, and in the back of the plane, there's 2 exits and pick one, and nobody understood what I was doing, and I should have said what was on my mind, because that would have been so much funnier.
Right.
Jerry Corley.
He teaches a heckler class now.
He doesn't. Oh my gosh.
He does. Yeah. I thought about taking it, except I so rarely ever get heckled or anything. So I didn't take it, but I may take it anyway. I like working with Jerry. I've done numerous shows with Jerry. That big New Year's Eve show we did, he and I did in San Diego, and he was the MC. But yeah, he's doing this show at this class, and I was thinking, I would just love to hear what he says about it, because handling a heckler well can be fun.
Yes.
And can be, I've seen some comics do it really well, not often, but yeah.
Yeah. So he got a hold of me yesterday, and he's going to let me do an interview of him, and I'm so tickled.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Give him my best. I'm a huge fan. I've sent a lot of business his way.
Me too.
He knows it or not, but when people are going, oh yeah, do you know any good classes? That's the one.
That's the one.
Flappers is good. I've taken other ones. And I haven't had bad classes, but Jerry's, for me, the best. He's, he's about joke writing, as you know. I don't need somebody to tell me how to hold a mic. I've been doing, public speaking my whole career and been around, so I know all those things.
Yes.
joke writing, how to fix a joke. I mean, you come up with something, you think it's funny, you go over it, and you go, yeah, the idea was funny, the concept and the premise, but so now how do I make it funny? And then that's where he really comes in.
Yeah, I love his books. Thank you so. I hear your phone ringing, right?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, it's nothing. It's.
Tell me from it, just in parting, you're at joelbrill.com.
Yes.
And so if people want to hire you to do a corporate event, a party, hire you for stand-up, that's where they go?
That or go to just email me at joel@joelbrill.com. Either way.
Okay, great.
But you can message me through the website.
Perfect. Absolutely wonderful. In parting, I was just wondering, since you're a comedian, can you leave everybody with a funny observation that you've seen in this pandemic? The pandemic's not funny, but we've seen people overreact, underreact, not react. Have you seen anything in the world on TV or when you're out getting groceries that just is hysterical to you?
Yeah, the funniest thing was I was at the grocery store and people were hoarding in the early stages of this, and they were just trying to pull toilet paper off the shelves, and this guy pulled this one package of like 8 rolls or something, and I go, you really don't want to buy those. And he said, why? What's wrong with those? And I said, they're biodegradable toilet paper, and they tend to degrade before you're done using them. He goes, well, I'll double them up. So, I think it's all crazy. I think the craziest thing are people like the mayor of Las Vegas, the governor of Florida, and I just look at these people and I go, these people should be comedians.
Exactly.
Nobody in their right mind thinks they're right.
No.
And they just, if somebody else told you that, you would laugh. So, like when your mayor said, when they said, what about social distancing in the casinos that you want to open? She goes, hey, I don't own hotels or casinos. That's up for them to figure out. Like, okay, that's probably the dumbest thing I've heard anybody say.
The dumbest.
That the people that go to church, 400, 500 people packed in a church and go, God is going to protect us. And I go, then why did you buckle your seatbelt on the drive there? So, how about you? You see anything crazy?
Have I seen? Yeah, I'm a veteran of the Army in the 70s.
Right.
And I live in a veterans village in Vegas, right on the Strip. And so we have people that live here who are veterans, and one of them has the virus. He was hauled out people came to pick him up in hazmat suits. This is not funny. What's funny is he comes back and he won't stay in his room. It's like, yeah. And I'm the crazy one. So I've reported where it gets... So now word has spread through Veterans Village that I'm Michigana and I'm paranoid because I'm worried I'm going to get this virus that doesn't exist.
Right. Yeah. I know you've had health issues. I have health issues. And so I have a lot of what they call underlying health issues, major, pretty significant. And we just lost a comedian. I don't know if you were friends through Facebook or anything with Jenny Griffin. Jenny Griffin. She's a really funny. She was like 60. She had COPD. A great comedian, and she got the virus. And since I've known her, she goes in and out of hospitals with pneumonia and other COPD issues. And she died a couple of weeks ago. It was very sad.
I'm sorry for your loss, Joel.
So, we're all trying to be smart, except for those that are trying to be stupid.
Thank you. Once again, we all find a way to make it divisive. It should be it should be bringing us closer together, and it pulls us apart.
Yeah, but you're doing things, you know, you're doing these shows. I'm doing some online comedy shows. I did one the other night. I'm doing another one Sunday and Monday. And yeah, I'm just trying to do that to keep, like I said, I love performing.
Yes.
You know, even though there's not a spotlight.
Yes. Well, come to Vegas. I'll take you down to Fremont Street and we'll go find that guy with the big package.
Yeah, The Rock.
The Rock.
When I come into town, you'll know.
Okay, thank you, Joel, for the interview. Love you lots.
Take care.
You too, Joel. Bye.